Char Margolis, Char Communications Incorporated, and CharVision LLC do not endorse or offer for any purpose but entertainment the views of any guest or other expert on CharVision or UBN.
I knew things before they happened from the time I was a child. At the age of 8, I saw a spirit at the foot of my bed and didn't know what it was. And in my 20s, I finally realized I had a special ability that could help others. I have learned that love never dies. There is a spirit world that can communicate with us, and we all have the gift of intuition. Join me, and together we will explore the possibilities of the unknown from beyond and more. This is CharVision.
Don't be afraid. And you don't be afraid. It's Sunny and Char. We're here to do your readings. Okay, so happy Halloween, everybody. That's my best impression of being a vampire. But you know what? Speaking of vampires, there are people who are energy vampires who will suck your energy. And I think that it's a good lesson for all of us to not let people use us and take advantage of our energy, because they literally, we live in a physical world and we live in an energetic world, and energetically people really can suck your energy. So you don't want them to do that. Anyway, I had to show you guys because we have matching outfits. Okay, but okay, we're going to take this off and we'll be right back. Hey, okay, well, we're back and we still have our beautiful Halloween stuff around us that Elisa and her daughter Emily they love Halloween. So we're staying in the spirit of Halloween, but we took our costumes off because this next subject is really, really serious. And I am so excited to talk to Dr. Richard Gallagher. My sister sent me an article. My sister's a doctor of psychology, and Dr. Alicia Tisdale. She's been on the show, and she sent me this article about a psychiatrist who was studying about spirit possession and schizophrenia and demons, and I have been fascinated with this subject since I started being an intuitive, a psychic. And because I believe that there's life after death, and I do believe we have guardian angels, and there are people who are trance mediums, which means spirits speak through them, literally. And I feel like there's a very fine line of what kind of spirits are speaking through who. And I know that Dr. Gallagher is going to help enlighten us on some of this stuff, because I don't trust trance mediums. I just feel like anything can come through them, and you have to be very, very careful, because I don't know, it's complex, but you have to be very, very careful. Just like I don't trust Ouija boards, I don't trust a lot of stuff in the paranormal occult. So, Dr. Gallagher, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And so, so you studied at Princeton and Columbia?
Yeah, I was a classics major at the lovely campus of Princeton. I went on eventually to train in psychiatry at Yale, and then I took some advanced training in psychoanalysis at Columbia.
Were you, did you know Dr. Brian Weiss at Yale, or that was probably a different time and place?
Yeah, it sounds like it may have been a different time.
Yeah, Dr. Brian Weiss, he does past life regression. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with his work. I don't know him. You know,
right.
I have heard about his work, sure.
Right. Okay. And so tell us tell us exactly what your expertise is first.
Well, I think, as I wrote in the Washington Post article a few weeks ago, which was solicited, they wanted to an essay from someone who had worked with qualified exorcist as a psychiatric consultant. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't do exorcisms, right. And but I think it's important that qualified exorcists collaborate with doctors and especially psychiatrists. So many years ago, pretty much everything I've done in this field has been because someone asked me for their help. I didn't go around volunteering for this.
Right.
But many years ago, there were a couple of Catholic exorcists in the United States, and there weren't very many at the time. So they asked for my help. I'm an academic psychiatrist. I'm now a professor of psychiatry.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked my help in helping them sort out certain cases, whether they seem possessed or whether they seem psychiatrically disturbed. And occasionally, without these individuals being my patient, they would ask me to talk to the people to kind of check out their motivation or their willingness to undergo an exorcism.
Wow. Okay. And so can you tell us of your experience of somebody who was possessed by a spirit?
I mean, I'll mention one other thing. For a number of years, there's an International Association of Exorcists, which meets in Italy. And for a number of years, I was on their governing board as well as was a scientific advisor. So, I've had an awful lot of experience in this area. I think probably the most dramatic case that I talk about, and she gave me permission not only to talk about her, but to write about her. So it's a woman that I used the pseudonym Julia.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of people who are possessed, I don't say every single one, but like a lot of people who are possessed, which is rare, but happens.
Just for all of us lay people, being possessed means.
Well,
what?
I would define it as someone who often has turned to evil, and then an evil spirit, traditionally known as a demon, of course, different religions and different cultures, use different terms, but let's call it a demon, takes over the person's personality, at least for times.
Right.
It's usually not continuous, so that often you can talk to these individuals in a more calm state, and they're fairly coherent.
Mm-hmm.
But from time to time, a true possession, and there are different degrees of demonic attack. This is the most severe.
Right.
A true possession will be controlled by the demon. I mean, it's the only time where a human being kind of loses their free will, when they're truly controlled by the demon. Usually the consciousness of the person is submerged. They're in a kind of trance state, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
And the demon manifests itself and may try to cause mischief, try to control the body, sometimes speak through the person's vocal cords. So it doesn't sound ghost-like or disembodied. It sounds like a slightly different personality inhabiting temporarily the individual. And they may manifest all kinds of things like hidden knowledge. They may speak foreign languages.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be able to give to the person who's possessed a tremendous amount of strength. And these are kind of some of the classical signs of a genuine demonic possession.
And when they give information, it's almost like they're being psychic, right?
Yeah. The most of the time, it's when the person is in the possessed state that this entity will sometimes reveal knowledge that the person has absolutely no way of knowing. In rare cases, sometimes individuals will be fed knowledge even in their more normal state. The example I mentioned was a woman named Julia, who gave me permission to write about her. She was an out-and-out Satanist. Now, there's been a lot of hysteria about Satanism. There was a famous case out in California, the McMartin case, that the individuals were originally accused of being Satanists, but at least the legal system didn't back that up. But this was a genuine member of a satanic cult. In some ways, she feared the cult, was trying to get out of it, and also sought help from the exorcist because this was an unequivocal case of possession. She was absolutely possessed. None of the multiple mental health people, including myself, as well as the clergy who worked with her, had any doubt that because of her Satanism, she had become possessed.
Okay, and have you ever worked with people who are like, quote, trance mediums? Like where they feel like their spirit guide is speaking through them, or have you ever had an experience like this?
Yeah, I don't know too much about your background, but I know that you have, that you say you have some psychic abilities.
Right.
I will say that some people that I have dealt with felt that they have been communicated to by dead souls, only to later tell me, well, maybe it was a spirit, maybe it was an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Often, eventually, these people do say that at least the voice that they hear, and it's not like a schizophrenic patient who hears things in their ears.
Right.
It's almost like a telepathic type of communication, so that the person is clearly, very stable, very sane. But on the other hand, they are absolutely convinced. Once again, I emphasize these cases are not common, but they're absolutely convinced that they are in communication with some spirit.
Right.
At least in my experience, because maybe it's the population that I see, often these people eventually tell me that they feel that it was a demon pretending to be either a dead soul or an angel or something like that.
See, I think that, but I'll tell you, I believe that there's good and evil in the spirit world, and that love is the bridge that connects us to the other side, and that our mothers, our fathers, our grandmothers, the people who really truly loved us, where there was pure love and only our best interest at heart, I do believe that that there are guardian angels that can watch over us. The thing that fascinated me about you in reading your article is I knew a woman who was a real trance medium, and a spirit guide, quote unquote, supposedly would speak through her, and came up with like really profound things. Like I think it was like in the late 70s, the spirit said there will be a disease that will come on the earth plane that will be sexually transmitted. And it's brought here to bring quality into love, not quantity. Okay, so then AIDS happened, right? A few years later. So when I was learning this stuff, I experienced this person. But what happened with this person is she ended up having demonic energies speaking through her.
Right.
And there's a really fine line between good and evil. On the earth, there's good and evil, and in the spirit world, there's good and evil. And I feel like what you are embarking on is tremendously important for those people who are involved in spirit communication, in the occult or whatever, because there are still many people who go into trance. And when they go into trance, they're actually bringing lower level energies and entities around them. And this person who would go into trance, there was an exorcism I observed. I didn't do it. I observed. And this other person the person who ended up, who wasn't a trance medium, was trying to help the person who was possessed. And that person who was in trance started hissing and spitting, and also knew psychic things, but exactly what you're talking about. But what happened was this person who meant well being a trance medium ended up being possessed too. In fact, had a near-death experience and was brought back to life. During their near-death experience, saw demons, smelled sulfur. It was literally went to hell in her near-death experience and came back to talk about it.
Yeah, or at least was given an experience that they perceived as hell.
Right, exactly.
the real controversy about the spirit world, and I'm Catholic. I believe in angels and demons.
Right.
So I believe in good spirits and bad spirits. The problem with a lot of people who kind of communicate or encounter the spirit world is so many of the spirits intentionally try to confuse people. And they intentionally try to pretend there's something else.
I agree.
As I said, I've had many people who seem to eventually acknowledge that they're demonically attacked, say that they first thought it was something else. As I mentioned, they may say, I thought it was dead souls, or I thought it was an angel, or even God, or saints. And this is a very common trick of the demonic world, to pretend they are something else. I mean, I often tell people the demonic world, evil spirits seem to have two main strategies. One, they really do want to punish or harm people. And number two, they also want to confuse people. So they're very great at acting through at least certain mediums in pretending there's something they're not.
Well, that saying, the devil was a fallen angel?
Right.
The devil learned everything about good and turned it to evil? It sounds like that's what you're talking about.
There was a famous Christian thinker many years ago. I'm sure you've heard of Augustine of Hippo, and he was a very experienced exorcist. And he used to emphasize a couple of points that I used to think were kind of early medieval exaggeration. But he said that, if it was not for the protection of God and, angels and saints, if it wasn't for the protection of the good, you might say, that demons would try to, warp and kill us all. I've come to believe that because I've seen so many destructive things happen to people who originally feel they might even be in contact with spirits that are helpful.
I agree with you. How does I think that what your research is amazing. And I can't imagine what it would be like to know the difference between somebody who's possessed with a demonic energy and somebody who's schizophrenic. How do you know the difference?
Well, I think if you're experienced in both fields, you can tell the difference. For instance, as I was talking about the communication, people who are possessed often do feel that they are being communicated to by the demonic world. And it's a very different experience than a mentally ill person says. A mentally ill person is schizophrenic, and of course, there are other groups of patients, bipolar patients, people with substance abuse sometimes, even people with organic conditions who become psychotic. And most of these individuals, just as a rule, and it's always a combination of factors that have to be taken into account, but most of the individuals, when they hear a voice, they will say, I'm hearing it in my ear. Don't you hear it? As I said, that's not invariable, but that's a typical way they talk.
Right.
People who are demonically attacked or communicated to by demonic, they describe it very differently. They don't say, no, doctor, I don't really hear this. It's not like I hear this with my ear, so I don't expect you to hear it too. But I know in my mind I am getting a very powerful message. This goes way beyond my thoughts. And, that message is often very confusing to them. For instance, the demons may say, the world is going to end.
Right.
Or they may, so they're often trying to mislead and confuse the person. Now, they also may, they have a great deal of knowledge, and fallen angels, you're exactly right, which is what demons are. They're often very intelligent as angels, and they often know a lot. So they often can, I don't think that they really know the future, but because of their knowledge of a lot of things that, the average person doesn't know. They can predict all kinds of things that are accurate, although sometimes they make mistakes too.
They're like terrorists.
They're like what?
Terrorists.
Well, they are a kind of cosmic terrorists. I think now that we understand the, tremendous destructive potential of human terrorists, it's sort of come out much more in the open given modern times. I think people are maybe a little more willing to say, well, if some humans can become so warped and evil as to, wreak destruction on fellow human beings, maybe there's a spirit world that has kind of a cosmic terrorist.
Right. I really commend you for being brave enough to, as a MD psychiatrist, to come out and talk about all of this stuff, because I don't know anybody else that's doing the work you're doing. And honestly, I think this is one of the most important interviews I've ever done in my whole life.
Well, I think there are people in the mental health field. I mean, I'm certainly not the only one who believes this way. And there are many, people who were brought up in different religious faiths who are in the mental health field who are open to this. I think because I'm a professor of psychiatry and a little more willing to speak out on it, that's why you find this, maybe a rather singular, and of course I've studied it for many years too. You may find this a singular, voice on this subject, but I certainly don't feel like I'm the only mental health person or physician who believes in this stuff. I just think I'm a little more outspoken about it.
Yeah, and when is your book coming out?
Well, we're deciding on a publisher. I have had several offers, so it probably won't be out for a while.
How can people reach you?
They could contact me at the Department of Psychiatry at New York Medical College.
Okay.
I don't usually give out my email over the air.
Not to worry.
They could do that if they truly needed to get a hold of me.
And if somebody needed an exorcist, could you refer somebody to them? Is there somebody that I know the Catholic Church in Chicago supposedly is doing this, but can you refer somebody?
Sometimes I do that. It's really better, at least the way the Catholic Church organizes things, as you may be aware. They organize things through individual dioceses. So, you have to go to your local person. Okay. If you're Catholic, the best thing to do is to speak to, like, your parish priest, tell him the story, and then he will usually put you in touch with whoever in the diocese is responsible for that. As I said, when I started out, and one of the reasons I saw so many cases is there were very few exorcists at the time, and I became kind of friends, literally friends, with several who asked for my help, and so I would see a lot of cases. That's one of the reasons I have so much experience. But normally these things are done through the local, area, and and that's what they should do. They should contact their local people, because that's how they're going to get help.
Thank you. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just going to say, if they went to a priest, the priest, if the priest feels they have some credibility, then they would be referred to the person in the diocese. And there are much more exorcists now than there used to be. The church has taken this very seriously in recent 10 years.
Would you agree with me that prayer and positive thinking and protection is the most important thing people can protect themselves from this? Yes,
absolutely. And even if they're afflicted, they should work on their prayers and their spiritual life. That's a very big part of it. People sometimes want a magical answer of an exorcism. Well, a lot of it depends on the efforts of the person themselves. That doesn't mean that the prayers of other people and the prayers of an exorcism, for instance, which is essentially a prayer, can't be very, very helpful. It can, especially with the most severely attacked people. But all these individuals are encouraged to work on their own prayers and their own spiritual life. I remember a case of a woman who was possessed. She was a very, very intelligent, professional woman. She worked very hard on resisting the demons through her own spiritual life, and she was delivered with one exorcism. Other people, their exorcism can go on for years.
Right.
In the case of Julia, the Satanist woman that I mentioned, her exorcisms were incredibly dramatic. For instance, she spoke all kinds of foreign languages, and demons seem to know all languages. That's how smart they are. And she even levitated during the exorcism. I was not at that exorcism, but about 8 people told me she levitated. So her exorcisms were extremely dramatic, but because she never really cooperated, she was quite afraid of leaving the satanic cult, and she didn't really want to give up her involvement with Satanism. So, there's a good example of someone, even though they had a number of exorcisms, was not delivered.
Right. Well, because she didn't want to. Well, I am so grateful for your time and all the hard work that you're doing on this and teaching us. And, I can just say to all the CharVision people, there's nothing more important in life than prayer and love and goodness and keeping, there are people who go into trance and mean well, but you got to be careful because they don't know what they're doing and they don't know that they're being tricked. Thank you so much, Dr. Gallagher. I hope our paths will meet again. God bless you. Be well.
You're very welcome.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Okay, everybody, don't go away. Hey, everybody, it's Char. Please join me in Encinitas at the Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. I'm doing readings on November 4th. The tickets are only $25. And then on the 5th, I'm doing a day workshop where I teach you to be intuitive and psychic. Why not learn to prevent problems and attain goals in your life? I can't wait to see you there. Welcome back to our Halloween special, everybody. I have a great healer right now coming on. Her name is Gina Castellano. Hi, Gina.
Hi, Char.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm really glad to be here.
Well,
how are you doing?
I'm great, and it's my pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being on our Halloween special. I just don't want you to freak out when you see all the pumpkins and the lights when you watch this on camera. So when you watch it at home. So you're a shamanic healer, and you work with the body talk system and advanced feng shui. Tell us about this.
Well, my practice is centered around therapies that help people to discover and create the life that they truly desire. And one of the most important parts of that is to work with people to help them uncover and clear trauma that limits their physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being.
Oh.
And as you know, Char, body, mind, emotion, spirit are all intricately linked. I mean, there's an interweaving of all those energies. And when conditions pull one strand, it affects the whole tapestry of our lives. So when we talk about a condition that could pull a strand, it might be a physical illness, it might be an emotional trauma,
or stress.
It could be stress, absolutely, a major life change. So, mainstream therapies have pretty much acknowledged the body-mind connection. We know that stress can lead to heart disease. We know that chronic pain can lead to depression. But the more traditional approaches tend to compartmentalize. With the processes the alternative healing processes that I and many others work with, we're able to address all those interconnected energies. And so the modalities that I work with, like the body talk system, like new decision therapy, and shamanic healing, can address all levels of the being to restore wholeness.
So what is the body talk system? What exactly do you do?
The body talk system is a very comprehensive protocol that addresses body, mind, spirit. We can even go into the astrological chart, past lives. We use kinesiology, to communicate with the innate wisdom in the body, which the body contains all the information.
It does.
Every experience, every emotion, every thought, every trauma. And so by communicating with the body, we can find out where the imbalances are, what the source of those imbalances are, and we can clear them and restore the whole system to balance.
Okay, so for those of us, kinesiology, meaning when you put your arm out and the body tells you if you're strong to it or weak to it?
Exactly,
Okay,
yes.
so how do you do that? Like if someone...
Well, excuse me, go ahead.
No, go on.
Well, there's a number of different ways. You're familiar with muscle checking.
Right.
Where we test certain key points on the body that help us to determine if there's a trauma, when it occurred, who was involved, what life-negating decision we made based on that trauma. And then we're able to do whatever the innate wisdom in the body guides us to do to clear it. Sometimes we use the eyes.
Oh.
The eyes are the windows to the soul. So it's whatever we are guided by the innate wisdom of the body of the person.
And so let me see if I get this right. Your goal is to take all the negative that could be interfering in somebody's well-being or good health and get rid of it all.
Yes, and here's the real important part of this. So much of the trauma we've experienced was so painful and so frightening that the protective mechanism is to suppress the trauma or to minimize it in order to go on with life. So when we can use kinesiology, we can actually bring to consciousness those traumas that are most negatively impacting our lives that we're not even consciously aware of.
How do you bring those out? Do you psychically do it or do they say it? How do you do that?
Again, the body guides us. We test certain points and in that way we can find out when the trauma occurred, again, who was involved. And you know what? We start out by finding out what is something in a person's life that seems to be causing difficulty over and over again. And in spite of their conscious attempts to clear it, they can't do it. That's because they don't have access to that consciously. So based on the intention in working with a client, we can then use kinesiology to bring this trauma to conscious awareness and clear it.
Can you give us an example of what somebody you helped and what you did?
Yeah, I can give you a really simple example. A woman came to me in her early 40s wanting to improve her relationship with her younger sister. It had been a lifelong problem for her. She described it as feeling competitive with her younger sister and would find herself angry if she felt that other people were giving her younger sister more attention or paying more attention to her. And so we used a process that's like body talk that's called new decision therapy. And my clue was, of course, there was some issue with the sister, something about her sister that she needed to forgive. Because forgiveness is the ultimate healing tool. And so I started to test. We knew it was the sister. I started to test for age at which something happened that caused a problem between the two of them. Her body tested. The trauma occurred at 6 years old. So I asked her, what happened when you were 6? She thought about it. She said, the only thing I can think of is that my sister was born. And then I knew where we were going. This woman, this child, she'd been an only child, all the attention until, yes. And then her sister was born. So I tested for her state of mind and emotion at 6 when the baby was brought home from the hospital. She tested weak. That meant trauma.
Right.
Then I asked her to go back to before the baby was brought home.
Mm-hmm.
We tested her. She tested strong, no trauma.
Fantastic.
Yes. And so she was kind of shocked at this information, but also relieved to know that that had been the issue, that she was still kind of reacting to her sister as if she were that 6-year-old little girl.
That's fascinating. And
who had
no, go on.
I just say the 6-year-old who had enjoyed all the attention, and then it was suddenly interrupted by this.
It makes sense. It makes good sense. And so now are they friends, and she forgave her, and it's all good?
Well, yes. We talked after that about how now she could begin to establish a relationship with her sister from a 40-year-old in the present.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And so how do you integrate traditional, like your alternative healing method with traditional Western medicine?
Well, I think all modalities have their place. I believe that we can work with them to complement and augment. For example, talk therapy is very effective, and nothing can replace being able to confide in someone who you feel has a positive regard for you no matter what you tell them about yourself.
Right.
So I incorporate talk therapy, which is a more conventional method, with the alternative modalities that I do. I also encourage people to go to their general practitioners for checkups, for blood chemistry analysis. I think everything can work together.
And do you feel like most people are holding things inside of them that could cause them health issues?
Absolutely. I think every thought, every emotion, every experience is held in the body until we consciously are able to become aware of it and to clear it.
And you're able to do this for people. How can people get a hold of you?
I have a website.
And what is that?
It's GinaCastellano.com.
Is it on the bottom of the screen? Okay, it's on the bottom of our screen. Okay, and can people call you and do this over the phone or Skype or in person?
Yes, we can Skype, we can do it over the phone,
and then of course there's a fee for this, which of course you should have a fee for this. And so, so if they go to your website, is there a telephone number as well that you want to give out?
Yes.
What is that?
That is 832-264-3134.
Say that one more time.
832-264-3134.
Well, you're absolutely fascinating, and I can tell how special you are and how this work really comes from your heart. And I can tell that you have, I know you don't have an ego, I can tell, but I know that you probably help many, many people, and I so appreciate you being here. I hope that we'll get to see you again.
Thank you so much, Char, and bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you. All the best.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Don't go away. I've got an adorable guy that I'm reading for, Brian. Stay right there. Welcome back to our Halloween special. Why can't warlocks have babies? Because they have Halloweenies. Okay. All right. That's terrible. Okay, I'm reading somebody here. I'm going to start reading someone named Brian, who's here, who's all red now that I said that joke. Okay, thank you for trusting me. We've never met before, right?
Right, that's
Okay,
correct.
so I just need you to be open about everybody living and deceased, and I might get a middle name, last name. I'm not sure that's going to come through me. I always say a prayer protection before I do this. Okay. So I'm going to say my prayer just because there's good and evil spirits, and we only want good energy to be around us.
Okay.
We ask the universal consciousness that holds the highest spiritual power of knowledge, wisdom, and truth to guide and protect us as we communicate with our guides and angels in the spirit world and tap into the wisdom of the universe. We respect this opportunity and take full responsibility to use this not for ego or controlling others, but with the pure intention of spreading love and healing life on this earth and beyond. I'm seeing like, I feel, are you in a place where you want to go to the next level of a career?
Yes.
Like you're in one place now. I see like, I don't know, like a springboard. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a springboard around you and that you're working towards going to the next level of your career. Do you have people who help you find work or who represent you in any way? Or
I have like people in my office, I guess.
Okay, but are you making new connections with new people for
Yes,
work and
yeah.
trying to open a new door?
Yes.
I feel like you're supposed to. And did you ever work in another state?
Yes. I lived in
Like,
New York.
You lived in New York.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like there's. Do you ever work with legal papers?
No.
Okay, you never do anything, or maybe you're going to be signing a legal paper.
Oh, yes. I'm about to figure out a new letter of agreement.
Letter of agreement.
Yes,
Okay, because I see a new legal paper coming up around you, and I feel like it's okay to stay where you are for now, but to start looking for other things.
Okay.
Does your contract keep you for a year or 2 years or 3 years or?
It's all up for grabs. That's part of it. This new contract is either going to maybe, for me, I'm thinking about like it could be a prison or it could be something really wonderful. So
I feel like you should at least give it a chance for now, but also to start looking at other options and other places where you can go to, because my feeling is that we manifest things, and when we get the engine going, the energetic engine, we can manifest other things in our lives. But I feel like they're going to give you something good. I feel like they like you where you are.
Yeah.
They tell you this, right?
Yeah, they do.
There's two things. I'm getting the name Mike, and I'm getting a J initial.
J for sure.
Is there a J at your work?
The J is the boss.
Okay. Is he spelled J-E or J-O?
J-O.
Like John or
John.
Joe?
John.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like he wants you to stay. He likes you.
He does.
Okay, and I'm getting, but maybe this isn't at work, but there's an M initial. I don't know. Or do you have a friend named Mike or Mark, or is there family that's an M?
I'm thinking through.
Or your last name that's an M? Okay, it's okay. I'm gonna keep moving on.
Yeah.
But I feel like John is gonna help you or wants to help you, and that he doesn't want you to leave. He doesn't want to lose
no,
you,
he doesn't.
and that there's gonna be opportunity for you. Did you ever work around entertainment at all?
Yeah.
Are you in entertainment?
I've done a ton of commercials. Yeah.
Okay, so you've acted?
Yeah.
And are you still doing this?
It's not my number one passion at all. It's like a hobby.
Okay, but you still do it and make extra money on the side or whatever. Do you still go to auditions and stuff?
Sure, just for commercials though, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you should keep doing this because I feel like it's great extra money for you to buy some. Do you want to buy a property?
Yes.
Is this your next goal?
It's always hanging there, yeah.
I feel like you're going to buy a property.
Okay.
But
Great.
I also want to know, I feel like you're torn, though, about, is there like a vacation place you wanted to buy?
Yeah.
And you're kind of confused if you should buy a vacation place or a real place to live?
Yes. Yeah.
Is the vacation place either like by mountains or water? Or?
It's by water, yeah. It's
Yeah.
by the ocean. Yeah, Cape Cod.
Yeah. I see that you're confused about which thing to do, but I'm thinking, but if you stay at your job where you are now, maybe you should have a place to go to that you're really enjoying, like a regular home.
Yeah, that's... That's a hard call there.
Okay, either one is fine.
Yeah, okay, good.
But I do see you buying property, and I'm not sure which one you're going to do, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But either one I feel is a good investment for you.
Okay.
So, and I feel like you should keep looking till you find a good deal about this, like a good deal. But do you live in California or?
I do, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So if you go to Cape Cod, that's a long way to have a vacation home.
Yeah, it's a really long way. Yeah.
And it's expensive to have airplanes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah. I'm not sure because the decision would be uprooting life probably and going moving somewhere there and also having
It would be totally uprooting. So I feel like for now you should just start researching of what it is you want, and I feel like something's going to come to you that's going to be the right thing for you. That's going to be a good thing for you.
Thank you.
I keep getting that M initial, and I don't know who that is. You don't have anyone family that's an M, no one deceased, a grandparent.
I have a stepmother.
Is she an M?
She's an M, yeah.
Is she living?
She's living.
Is she spelled M-A?
No.
Or M-I?
M-I.
Like Michelle?
Michelle, yeah.
I think it's her I'm getting.
Whoa.
Are you friendly with her?
Totally, yeah. We're not close for no reason other than that we're far away.
No, but you're friendly, yeah.
Yeah.
And is your mom living though?
My mom is living, yeah.
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 So your parents just really didn't get along, right?
Yeah. I mean, they divorced when I was very young.
Yeah. So I feel like any divorce on any child can always be hard on the kid, but I feel like you handled it well.
Thank you. I think
I feel like you've got your act together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What is with romance? Are you in a romance? Or
I think that
confused romance?
Confused. I think my heart is in one that has ended.
Yeah, I feel like a confused romance, but I feel like you need to move on.
Okay.
You didn't want it to move on.
Neither of us wanted it to move on.
Then why did it?
He moved to New York, and there's an age difference, and I think that we're in different places in our life. Very different. He's starting business school. I'm here. Very different perspective on togetherness.
I feel like you'll stay friends.
Oof. I hope so.
Are you still friends?
It's the big question of today. Is like I feel like I'm showing up as a friend, and he's not right now.
Yeah, it might take time.
Yeah.
It might take time, especially if there's an age difference and whatever, and not understanding.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's confused. I feel like he really likes you, but I also feel like, oh, it's a hard one. It's really a hard one because you guys really cared about each other.
A lot, yeah. We didn't want to break. We didn't want to,
But
separate.
you only did it because of distance?
No, also because I have a very more I'm ready to settle down and live my life, and he's starting business, so he's got a very independent spirit right now, like focusing on that.
Yeah, well, then you need to trust your own world and your own energy. But people come in and out of our lives for reasons, and he's a good lesson to let you see that you can really feel this way about someone.
Yeah.
And that it is possible to feel this way. And who knows, you guys might hook up again somewhere down the road, but you need to follow what it is you really want. And if you're ready to settle down, that's where you need to go, and that's what you need to work on. Because you owe it to yourself to have this. You definitely owe it to yourself to have this. Is there like a Richard or
R?
Or Robert or a B or an R person?
I'm a B, but
is there another B or R person besides you? Or a D or R?
My mother's maiden name is Doreen, and her last name is R.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that's it.
Yeah, and is she in another state?
She's in Ohio.
She's in Ohio, right. Okay, and are you supposed to visit her, or is she supposed to come here, like, in the next month or two?
We're talking about it. We talked about it this morning, actually, about what are we going to do for Christmas or something.
I feel like she misses you, and you're not sure, because you're not sure what your personal life's going to be at that time.
Yeah.
So you don't want to make a full commitment to Mama.
No, because we can have a hard time. If I'm torn, we can have a hard time. But when I'm not torn, it's great.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. But you know what? Play it by ear.
Okay.
Don't make yourself crazy about it. But I don't know, does she do guilt things with you?
No.
That's good.
No. Yeah.
That's nice that you don't have anybody like that.
Very lucky, yeah.
Who is it? Is it her mom that's deceased?
It is, yeah.
So that's your grandma. I feel her around you. Were you close to her?
Very.
Like
Very.
really good buddies?
Yeah. We were buddies.
Like you'd look at each other and roll your eyes
Well,
at
yeah,
family
yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, because since my parents were divorced, she was raising me a lot.
Yeah. She's with you. Yeah, and she really loves you, and she's very like, don't worry, everything will happen. But, you know, there's an old saying, we make plans and God laughs. So the feeling I'm getting from her is that everything, you'll have your wishes in time. With time, patience, and love, all dreams will come true. It just might not happen on your timing. The way you want it. But she does watch over you. Have you ever dreamt about her? She's saying she's tried to reach you.
Yeah, not recently, but when I was younger, quite a bit.
Yeah, because those were visitations from her.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. She's like...
That's reassuring.
Yeah. They're showing me somebody E or L, or EL, or...
E or L.
Or Helen, or... Or E, starts with E-L, her husband. I don't know who this is. Did you know him?
Her father? I think his name started with an E.
E with a D in it? Or an R?
Maybe.
Like an Edward, or...
No.
It started with E, though.
I think it was an E, yeah.
With an R in it? Or an L?
I can't remember. It's a very Italian name. It could very well be, yeah.
I think she's with her dad.
Oh, okay.
Because she's with a man.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to know if you kept her recipe, or... I don't know if... Was she a cook, or she was a grandma?
She was an antiques lady.
She was antique. Did you keep her stuff?
Yeah, I have some things for
her
sure.
Antiques?
Yeah, I
okay.
have a few things,
I wasn't sure what it was she was showing me. She likes that you still have her stuff.
Cool.
Like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, good.
and she's... Maybe they're worth something.
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, that's my mom always made sure.
But you don't want to. You don't really want to get rid of them.
No,
because they're hers.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really going to be with you on and off in your whole life to protect you and watch over you and take good care of you. I feel like this John is going to give you an opportunity you can't refuse. And it might be a little less money. I don't know. I don't know if it's less money. It's more money than you're getting.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's exactly what you want, but there's opportunity with it, and it's okay if you take it. Okay, I think I'm done.
Okay. Wow.
Wow. Thank you so
thank
much.
Thank you so much. Wow,
I really
you.
appreciate
I
this.
appreciate that. Thank you. Good luck today. The rest of the day, you get to be done now.
Thank
you.
Or no? Do you want to like tell me what I got or what I didn't?
Oh my God, you got every. There's no E person. I tried to think about it. She could be her dad though.
Her dad.
No, but like the John right now, this thing with work is like going on right. That I'm an employee. I want to be a 1099 so I can start to grow my own thing, which is exact what this moment is. And he knows the value in me, but it's very limiting. And so, what I can grow in New York, because I want to grow my business in New York.
Can you do both?
I can, but I don't know if I can do it as an employee. I think I need to move into the W-2, into 1099 land, and he's, I think, scared to lose me as a resource in that way. Yeah.
Well, then you got to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Although I do think he's going to give you a good offer.
Yeah.
What if you did it for a short while till you got your other thing going?
I intuited something about that this morning. I was like, maybe I need to stay with this for a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
That's in the romance thing.
Right, yeah, I'm going to see him next week.
Yeah. I hope he can. Yeah, I think he's still.
I think
you guys aren't done with each other yet.
That's what I figured.
Okay, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yo, Brian, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And
Yeah.
I want to thank Dr. Richard Gallagher for being here and Gina Castellano. Happy Halloween, everybody. That's why we have the candles and the pumpkins and everything. So I know it was kind of weird to do an interview with somebody who talked about demon possession and stuff with all this stuff, but I take that very seriously. And the most important thing, as we said earlier, is prayer. And I wish you guys all the goodness and healing in the world, and stay in the white light. God bless you. Be well. Bye-bye.